A styrofoam cup can be used for drinking coffee, as a makeshift pot for flowers, arts and crafts materials, and in this case, as evidence in solving a 23-year-old murder case. Life can be much more cruel than it seems, because you can never be sure that if the one person you think has nothing against you can actually harm you. This is the story of how Stephanie Lazarus got caught. Midway through the 1980s, American police officer Stephanie Lazarus killed Sherry Rasmussen, a 29-year-old Van Nuys, California resident, for being her ex-boyfriend's new wife. Rasmussen had been shot 3 times in the chest, the bullets piercing her heart, lungs, and spine. When it was over, the killer stole the BMW parked in the garage. Sherry Rasmussen is a Loma Linda University alumna. She enrolled in college at 16, and by the time she was in her late 20s, she was the nursing director, giving lectures and teaching classes to fellow nurses. Sherry began dating UCLA graduate John Rutan in 1984, after they first met. They eventually got married in 1985. What was the suspect's motive to do such a horrible thing to her ex-boyfriend's wife? It was revealed that Lazarus's motive for the murder was her jealousy and resentment toward Sherry Rasmussen, as Lazarus had been involved in a previous romantic relationship with Rasmussen's husband. Stephanie seemed to oppose her ex-boyfriend starting a new life with his wife. Sherry's murder initially went unsolved for many years due to lack of evidence. The police pinned down no suspects, and the case gradually went cold until 2009. On February 24, 1986, Sherry was scheduled to give a speech at work that day, but she was called in sick for work. John Rutan supported her to call in sick because he wanted his wife to take a rest. He kissed his wife before leaving for his engineering work. John called home several times to check on his wife, but nobody answered. He was a bit worried, but thought that Sherry might have simply decided to attend work. When John got home, he noticed that the door was open. He was stunned by what he saw. Sherry was lying in front of their house's fireplace, bludgeoned and shot 3 times. Stephanie's jealousy and resentment of the victim, Sherry Rasmussen, were the case's primary motives. Here's how they caught the LAPD officer for murdering Sherry Rasmussen. Detective Dan Jaramillo and Greg Stearns invited Stephanie Lazarus to come in and advise them on a case about stolen art. Knowing that Lazarus is a former policewoman, they plan to keep the interview as normal and casual as possible, so that Lazarus won't notice their plan for the interview. At the start of this clip, the detectives set the tone in the interrogation room into a calm atmosphere to mask their main plan.
I don't want to talk about this in the squadron because I don't know who people are listening. And if we go to my side, everybody's always wondering what everybody else is doing.
No problem.
Okay.
They pretend to seek advice from Lazarus over an ongoing art theft case.
Like we're talking about being busy and stuff. We've been assigned a case that we've been looking at. Okay. It's a new case.
The detectives ask safe questions that slowly build up to them asking the first big question. This wouldn't be easy for them, knowing that Stephanie is one of them.
There's some notes to see that as far as your name being mentioned.
Okay.
Do you know John Rutan?
Stephanie was asked if she knew John Rutan. He was Lazarus's ex-boyfriend. The secret confrontation is starting. They asked Lazarus if she and Rutan were close friends back then.
John Rutan?
Rutan.
Oh yeah, I went to school with him.
You did?
Yeah.
She acted like she hadn't heard that name for so long. The detectives paid little attention to her words and focused more on her reaction.
How long did you know him?
Gosh, I went to school in, went to UCLA in 1978 I started and, met him at school at the dorms.
It's like she's seen a ghost. Stephanie became tense. She eventually admitted that they were dating and had lived in a dorm for the better part of 4 years.
Were you guys friends, close friends?
Yeah, we're very close friends.
Yeah?
Good friends. Lived in the dorms for 2 years.
You guys lived in the same dorm?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dykstra.
Okay. Were you guys just friends or anything else, or?
Yeah, we were good friends.
Yeah. Was there ever any relationship or anything that developed between you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we dated,
The detectives patiently waited for their main points to execute their confrontation with Lazarus. She went to the same school as Rutan at UCLA in 1978 and met him at the school dorm. The two dated for 4 years and spent numerous holidays together. Lazarus added that they were very close friends, and she started asking about the interview.
What's this all about?
She seems to be suspicious and nervous at the same time, knowing that she had been asked about the guy she had committed first-degree murder for. Then, the detective replied it was related to his wife, about Rutan's wife that had been murdered by her.
Well, it's relating to his wife.
Okay.
Okay.
Lazarus's face at this moment was not captured, but you can feel that it triggered her guilt. Would Lazarus be able to deal with the coming threat, or would she try to run away and be safe to hide her secrets? She chooses to fight, and normally replies to the detective,
Did you know her?
Not really. I mean, I knew that he got married years ago.
saying that she barely knows Sherry, Rutan's wife, even denying that she doesn't know if they've met before.
Did you ever meet her?
God, I don't know.
Lazarus throws expressions like gosh and geez, showing that she is surprised and overwhelmed by the unexpected questions being thrown at her.
Do you know who she was or anything?
Well, let me think. God, it's been a long time ago. I may have met her. Geez. You know.
Yeah.
She is trying to show that she wouldn't have had any reason to contemplate anything else regarding Rutan, since they broke up over 2 decades ago. Continuing, the detective asked her, how long did you guys date?
John, how long did you guys date?
She reacted confusedly as to why she was asked those kinds of things.
I mean, are you guys, is this something, I mean, you said I was going to interview somebody about art and how you guys are,
Here's
I mean,
Stephanie, here's the situation. It's basically, we knew that this, when we saw this in this chrono, that maybe, there was some relationship there. That's what the chrono seemed to indicate, and we didn't want to come up to you at your desk and ask those kinds of questions or do anything. You know how up there people can see what's going on if you go into an interview room or people are in there getting
that's
supplies.
okay. I mean, God, that's been a million years ago. I mean,
We know that Lazarus is a cop and has been for 25 years. She is oblivious to the changing situation and avoids being a red flag in the eyes of the detectives. Lazarus tries to act naive to the now blatant confrontation against her. Lazarus said that since she got married to Scott, her husband, she cut ties with Rutan.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because from what you're telling me is you guys dated while you were in college together, right?
yeah, and probably after college. I can't, trying to think when I met my husband. I met my husband in, Scott, let's see, I was teaching DARE, because I met Scott when I was teaching DARE up in Oregon, but we had long stopped, dating before that.
So you haven't talked to him for a long time?
Oh, I think I haven't talked to him in a long time. I couldn't even tell you when the last time I talked to him. I got married in 1996. I think I met Scott in 92. Prior to that, I couldn't tell you how long I had talked to John prior to that.
But since you met your husband, Scott, you haven't talked to him?
I mean, he may have called me once or twice before we got married.
Right.
And she wanted to tell the detectives that she wasn't involved in anything going on in Rutan's life. This is a lie. John Rutan called her once or twice before she got married to Scott. After a long conversation, the detectives suddenly asked 3 questions about Rutan's wife. For the first 2 questions, she was thinking and composing herself on how to respond normally.
It's 2009 now.
Had you ever met his wife?
I may have.
Do you remember her name or anything, or what she did for a living, or where she worked, or anything about her?
Well, I think I'm going to say that I think she was a nurse. And I can't even remember how he said he met her. I mean, it's been so long ago.
Well, let me ask you, did you go to their wedding,
No, I didn't go to their wedding. No, did not go to their wedding. Couldn't even tell you what year he got married. I mean, it's been a million years ago.
The third question is where she got flustered and had to think of the correct response to avoid being caught.
Do you remember if you ever talked to her? Because it seems like a lot of you who were at the school at UCLA, you guys kind of were friends during and after school, so I don't know if you guys still associated afterwards once he got married or anything.
With him?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, the people that were on the dorm floor, we'd have get-togethers. There's probably like 4 or 5. I don't think he ever came. I don't think, no. It was mostly girls.
She was asked if she knew what happened to Rutan's wife.
Do you know what happened to his wife?
Yeah, I know she got killed.
What did you hear about that?
I saw a poster at work. I'm sure I spoke to him about it. I think I spoke to another friend of his about it.
And how did you first learn about that?
Jeez. Someone could have called me. I could have heard it at work.
You will see emotions emanating from Lazarus's face after she responds to that question. The detective changed the topic momentarily to distract Lazarus and to make her think it was just a normal conversation.
You used to see John, was it everything okay between you guys? I mean, there was never anything uncomfortable or anything between you and her?
I don't know. I mean, it's been so many years. I mean, uncomfortable. I mean,
It is reported that 8 witnesses testified that she had confronted Sherry at the hospital where she worked, while the two were reportedly in an intimate relationship with Rutan. The confrontation had been highly aggressive, and it got to the point where Lazarus had to be escorted off the premises by security. Reports stated that Lazarus even made threats against Sherry's life. This explains why Lazarus suddenly stutters on her response, and even says she doesn't know what year Sherry got killed.
I can't even remember if we had a conversation. I mean, we may have. I may have seen her at his apartment. Geez, how many years ago was that? I don't even know what year she, got killed.
After a few take turns, Lazarus responded to the detective. Suddenly, she said,
I mean, if you guys are claiming that I'm a suspect, then, I got a problem with that. Okay? So, if you're doing this as an interrogation, you're saying, hey, I'm a suspect. Well, now I got a problem with, now you're accusing me of this? Is that what you're saying?
We're trying to figure out what happened, Stephanie.
The commotion is intense at this moment. There was something else she didn't know. After Sherry was murdered, an investigator from the coroner's office had swabbed a bite mark the assailant had left on her arm. Before that, during the investigation leading to the interview, the detectives had covertly obtained her DNA when she threw away a styrofoam cup. It matched the DNA from the crime scene, and detectives had shifted to viewing her as the prime suspect. Lazarus acted shocked and done from their long conversation.
I mean, it's just, I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that somebody would be saying that I did this. I mean, we had a fight, so I went and killed her. I mean, come on.
She decided to stand up from sitting and walk out of the room.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks for giving me the courtesy. I wish I recorded it.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Stephanie, take care. All right.
The room was empty and echoed with total silence when they got back to the room with Lazarus. And then,
Okay. Okay. Stephanie, you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes,
Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand?
yes,
You have the right to the presence of an attorney before and during any questioning. Do you understand?
yes.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you free of charge before any questioning if you want. Do you understand? If you want to talk to us right now.
No.
All right.
Okay.
This
then.
is crazy. This is I'm like in shock. I'm totally in shock.
her hands were cuffed behind her back. What is this all about? Fresh DNA evidence in 2009 led detectives to Stephanie Lazarus. Lazarus was arrested after DNA evidence connected her to the crime. The family of Sherry Rasmussen has many questions concerning what unfolded at that time. John Taylor, the attorney for the victim's family, said,
"The family has nothing but praise for the LAPD of 2009.
This is the Rasmussen family statement.
The family was not surprised at the arrest. We can only praise the work of the current chief of police and his loyal detective department."
Sherry's husband, John Rutan, also gave an impactful statement at the court.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak during this hearing. There are really no words that can describe the loss of Sherry and the whole of this experience, so it makes no sense to talk very long. It suffices to say that the Rasmussen family, my family, and Stephanie's family have been thrust into a bizarre world of disbelief and indescribable sadness. Sherry Rasmussen had a profound impact on so many people.
He stopped for a moment and started to become emotional. Stephanie Lazarus stood trial on March 8, 2012. The verdict was provided to the bailer and then read by the clerk.
People of the State of California versus Stephanie Eileen Lazarus. Case number BA 357423. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Stephanie Eileen Lazarus, guilty of the crime of murder of Sherry Rasmussen in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony, as charged in count 1 of the information. We further find the murder was of the first degree.
The suspect, Stephanie Lazarus, was ultimately found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to 27 years to life in prison for the murder of Sherry Rasmussen. She is currently being held inside the maximum security unit of the Central California Women's Facility. If this incident happened a few years back, Stephanie Lazarus would have gotten away with murder, all thanks to the advancement of forensic sciences. It is absurd to believe that something as disposable as a styrofoam cup can be as vital and indispensable to solving a murder investigation.